Hello again to all subscribers and listeners of this channel. You're listening to Obsidian Radio. Should upload this earlier, but I'm going to get this as soon as possible. And in this video, I'm going to point out an interesting thing that I noticed about most YouTube channels is that their number of subscribers and view counts on their videos and the ratio between the two. Today, we're going to be looking at a few political leaning YouTube channels and break down the views to subs ratio. So, what is the views to subscriptions ratio or subscribers ratio? It's a simple formula that some have used in order, or I think some have used in order to get a general idea of how well a channel is doing in terms of engaging its audience. It's very simple, actually. 1. Views to sub count ratio. What is that? 1A. So first, you're going to look closely at the sub count of a particular YouTube channel, as in how many subscribers do they have in total. Then 1B, you're going to look closely at the average view count of every video that they've ever uploaded. You can do this by taking 10 or 20, 30, however many you want to do, random videos, adding up their total view count, and then dividing by the number of videos that you picked. 1C, you do some simple math, and in this instance, division, and you figure out how many times the average video numbers fit into the sub count. So for instance, in a channel that has 1 million subscribers and 20,000 views on average video, that should come out to a 2% subs to views ratio, or views to subs ratio. So in other words, the view count on each video that averages out to about 20,000. That audience that watched that video is about 2% of their total subscriber count. 1D. So imagine that whatever sub count is, you bring that number down to 100,000, and then you move the view count to the equivalent percentage. So in this case, you're looking at about 2,000 views for 100,000 subs. Number 2. Now, what is considered a view count for a successful, healthy, well-engaged YouTube channel, as far as I can see? Well, from what I've seen, there's a range for the average YouTube channel, regardless of size, and there's a range of channels that are consistently popular. And I do notice this pattern with many different channels. 2A. The average channel seems to have its average view count somewhere between 2.5 to 5 to 10% of its total subscriber count. As in, if a channel has 100,000 subscribers, the view count on average in every video tends to be somewhere between 2,500 to about 10,000 views for every single video that's uploaded. This comes out to, again, that 2.5 to 10%, or about 5.8% on average, or about 5,800 views on each video per 100,000 subscriber count. 2B. The really unsuccessful, low audience participation and or struggling channels tend to have a viewership of below 2.5%, or below 2,500 views on the average video for a channel that has 100,000 subscribers. 2C. And the really, really successful channels, the ones that are just doing really well and just blowing it out of the water, they tend to have a view count that's 10 to 20% of their sub count, or about 10 to 20,000 views on the average video on a channel that would have 100,000 subscribers. And then the super successful channels, 2D, those ones, they have a view count that's about 20% or higher, or they have about 20,000 views for a channel that has only 100,000 subscribers. Those are the super successful and much more rare, a lot less common. Now, is this the most accurate way to do this? Maybe not, but it can still serve as a decent metric for how well the YouTube channel is doing. Number 3. A few problems with this. It's not perfect, so I will point out that there are flaws if you want to use this to try to gauge the health of a YouTube channel. 3A. The ratios are going to be skewed for really small and really big channels. Smaller channels are going to almost always have very close ratios or very good ratios, as in the view count is going to be higher in relation to the subscriber count, only because the channel is much smaller in general. Larger channels like PewDiePie, they're going to be the opposite. It's actually going to be harder for them to get consistently high views in a good ratio with their subscriber count when the subscribers are so big and they have so many. So it tends to skew in that way towards, or in relation to, the really big channels and the really small ones. It tends to work better for the channels somewhere in the middle. Channels that are like between 10,000 to say 1 million subscribers, they tend to work well for this, or well with this. 3B, the view count obviously doesn't come purely from the subscribers. I know this. You should know this. Many times the views can come from non-subscribers, or people who are about to subscribe, or people who unsubscribe but still watch some of the videos. It's a mixed bag of who watches the videos. We get that. But 3C, there are other metrics that can be used to see if a YouTube channel is doing well or not. So this isn't the only one. In these, despite these problems, it can still work to a degree. Just a general ballpark. Number 4. But this method, I think, is still pretty solid and faster when it comes to figuring out the overall success of a channel. 4A. Even though there are channels of varying sizes, the method should work well enough for the vast majority of YouTube channels that are out there, as well as some channels of a particular size. So ultimately, don't focus too much on the outliers. Focus on the vast majority of YouTube channels that are within that range of, say, between 1,000 to 1 million subscribers, or 10,000 to 1 million subscribers. Those should be the majority, and I believe this process still works for them pretty good. 4B. Even if you check your own analytics to see that most of your views come from non-subscribers, notice how that doesn't seem to change the ratio either way. If it's low, it's low. If it's high, it's high. The ratio does seem to stay there regardless of who's actually watching your videos. So for instance, if PewDiePie has like half of his people watching his videos are not subscribed to him, the ratio still seems to stay the same, even if it's compared to a video where most of the viewers of that video are his subscribers. So it doesn't seem to change it that much, at least from what I see. So regardless of where your views are coming from, it suggests that there is still a correlation between how much of your videos are watched and how many people are subscribed to you. There's still a correlation there. 4C. The other metrics make it more accurate to a degree, but that's way more complex and takes more time than most of us have. For this, we'll use a simple metric to make it easy. Number 5, the metrics for some political channels. 5A, to get these metrics, I took 20 random videos in their view counts. I chose 2 videos with one having the highest view count. I chose 4 videos. I'm wrong. I chose 4 videos. 2 of the videos that had the highest view count that I could see, 2 videos that had the lowest view count that I could see, and 16 others that were in between. When I did that, I figured out the overall average of those 20 videos that I just randomly picked, and that's how I got the views to sub count ratio on that particular channel. Now, it's not the best way to do this, but it should still give us a pretty good idea. By the way, I did this by going to their channel, clicking the icon that says go by date, and then I scrolled back maybe several months to try to find as many different random videos as I possibly could. That way I wouldn't allow a whole bunch of outliers to skew the numbers too much. If you do it the same way, then you should come up with similar numbers with these 4 examples I'm about to start giving you. 5B. Also, a way to check these numbers is to also go to their social blade, find the average view count, and then you divide that by the monthly view. You divide those monthly views by their rough number of monthly video uploads, and you should get a number that's pretty close to what I'm getting. So if you want to go ahead and check, go ahead and check. The problem with this is it doesn't work long term. It only works from each month to month because the change of both the monthly views and their overall subscribers changes month to month. But ultimately, we should end up with 2 different numbers. 2 different numbers that give us a range. A lower number and a higher number. I would say use both of them and try to use that as your basic metric. So again, the first one is you take those 20 videos, 2 of the highest viewed videos, 2 of the lowest viewed videos, any of the 20 random, Then you pick 16 in between that. You do the average for that, and you get the average view for that video. The second one is you go to their social blade, look at their monthly views. You go back to their channel and look at what's the average video post that they do every day. You multiply that for a month. You then divide those two into each other. You get that average also. You get those two numbers. So hopefully that makes sense. Number 6. So first, let's start off with Timcast. Timcast has between about 190,000 to about 210,000 views for each video on average on a channel that has 485,000 subscribers. That comes out to around roughly 40,000 views for every video if his channel had only 100,000 subscribers, or about 40% ratio when it comes to his view count versus his subscriber count. Timcast posts about 4 videos a day, every day, pretty much every day of the week. Next up, Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder has about 819,450 to about 1.4 million views for each video that he posts on average, and it's on a channel that has 4.1 million subscribers. So that ratio comes out to about 25,000 views for every 100,000 subscribers, or about 25% ratio. Steven Crowder posts about 1 video roughly every 2 days or so. Then you have the Majority Report. It has between 57,000 to about 60,000 views for each video on average on a channel that has 616,900 subscribers. That comes out to roughly 9,500 views for every 100,000 subscribers, or about 9.5% ratio. The Majority Report posts about 5 videos a day, pretty much every day of the week. Then there's the Young Turks. The Young Turks has between about 140,000 to about 170,000 views on average for every video on a channel that has 4.4 million subscribers. That comes out to about 4,000 views for every 100,000 subs, or about a 4% ratio. The Young Turks post about 12 or so videos a day, pretty much every day of the week. Now, what do all these numbers actually mean? Well, let's get into that. Number 7. So what does this mean for these channels and other channels like them with similar numbers? Let's get into it. 7A. Does it mean that political channels are in general not doing well? Well, not really. When we look at Timcast and Steven Crowder, both have above 20% mark when it comes to their view to subscriber ratio. So they're doing very well, and they're very political channels. So that might not be it. 7B. Does this mean that conservative leaning channels are doing better than progressive ones? Possibly. Considering that the 2 progressive channels are below 10%, one center-left channel is really nearly about 50%, and a very blatantly conservative channel, unapologetically conservative channel, is roughly at about 25%. So one could assume that when they look at this, they could accept that there does seem to be a little bit of a, how could I put this? It does seem like if you're leaning more centrist or conservative, you're more popular with your audience. It does seem like that. So one could assume such, except for the fact that both the progressive channels post more videos than the other two, which would skew the numbers, because generally when you post more videos, the idea is that generally each video tends to get less views because it's competing with the other videos that you just uploaded. So that could also be a part of it. Again, this is very nuanced. 7C. Could this mean that independent channels in general are getting attacked somehow? Not sure. But the ratios can't confirm nor deny that, so I don't know. 7D. Could it mean that view counts are based off of upload frequency? Not really. Timcast and Majority Report post almost the same number of videos, yet Timcast is receiving about 3 times as many views, yet has about 150,000 less subscribers. So there's a lot going on here. In conclusion, so what can we conclude from this data, if anything? Here's my assumption. I think what we're seeing here is three different things. One is a distinct falling away from within the left, as in even if the channel has lots of subscribers, a lot of people are not actually watching progressive content anymore, or not as much as they used to. Why? Because it has become illogical, hyper-emotional, tribalistic nonsense that sounds more obnoxious and condescending even towards its own viewers. Like me, I'm still sub to the Young Turks, I'm still sub to TYT, but I don't watch a lot of the videos anymore. And a lot of it's just getting way too heavy-handed with the political biases, etc. But I won't get into that anymore. I got into that in the previous videos, but that's just my personal opinion. You might disagree, which is fine. The second thing that I notice is, in general, the general rise that we see in people viewing conservative-leaning content, we can see this in the steady increase in popularity of Steven Crowder. In just a few years, he's gone from less than 1 million subscribers to almost neck and neck with the Young Turks, who's had millions of subscribers long before his channel became big. So it's very interesting that we see that phenomenon going on. And finally, and most importantly, we're seeing the rise of a population that is either centrist or nonpartisan. And their rise seems like it might actually be the fastest one. Why? Because so many people like myself are getting sick and tired of the political tribalism, the lack of critical thinking, and the outright lies of propaganda from both and all sides. Whether you're progressive leaning or conservative, it doesn't matter. The tribalism is getting on my nerves, it's getting on a lot of people's nerves, and it seems like they want an outlet for something that's just more objective and more honest, not tribalistic, not overly political, or politically tribalistic. This is more true on the left than it is on the right, but it's still pretty much this outside group that's getting tired of the backlash between both of them. At least that's why I think it is. So you notice Tim Pool or Timcast, that channel actually did the best out of the four, and this more center left leaning. So Tim Pool, who hosts the Timcast channel, I think he even said in one of his videos that, I can't remember which one, but he did say something about there's a vacuum created by the extreme left for people who are more kind of progressive center leaning, but they're not these radical socialist SJW types. And they needed to find some outlet for some news that's more objective, that's not going to pander to the insane, anti-white, man-hating Green New Deal radicals. And I think he's honestly right about that. So, this may or may not be helpful, but I do think it helps us to highlight how badly a channel like TYT is doing, or how well a channel like Steven Crowder or Timcast is doing. This, I think, is just a further proof that the extreme left-wing channels like TYT are indeed a dying breed. People don't want to be berated about how sexist and racist they are any longer. They're getting tired of it. At least that's how it seems. And that's why I'm thinking these view count ratios did expose to some degree. And with that being said, that's all for now. Please like, subscribe, share, and donate to support this channel. You all have a nice day. I'm out. Peace.